believe we'll go ahead and get started here. It is 7:36 on Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. This is a meeting of the Westport School Committee, and I'll call the meeting to order. Pursuant to Governor Healy's approved legislation, H62, a bill extending authorizations for local boards, commissions, and committees to hold public meetings remotely or in a hybrid format, extended timeline, amending Section 30A of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, most recently amended by Section 40 of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, and replacing the current expiration date of March 31st, 2025 with June 30th, 2027. Therefore, this meeting is being conducted via remote participation in order to ensure public access to the deliberations. And we'll call to order, and I guess we'll, if you have a flag handy, take a look at it, and we'll say the pledge right quick. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all very much. So at this time, we will have an opportunity for comments and statements from the public. If anyone wishes to speak, I'm not sure we have anybody.
Yes, we do. We do have one person that had their hand up. I don't know if they still do. Donna Amaral, I'm going to allow her to talk.
Yes, absolutely.
Hold on one second. I just got to... Hi, Donna. Can you hear us?
Unmute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. I'm here just to request that the school board move to select a school department representative to be appointed to the Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee. We have been without school department representation for, we've had 6, we're going to have our 7th meeting next week. And we have been without representation for 4 or 5 of those meetings. We've only had a school representative there for 2 of the meetings. Charette has asked to resign and made a request or a suggestion for Jennifer Shavs to replace her. I understand that the school board was waiting for Dr. Roy to start her tenure. And so I just wanted to make a reminder and the importance of having representation from the school department because this is about the kids. This is about how we can best use these funds to help them and their adult caregivers, which many of them are grandparents, be taking care of them because their parents have had struggles with substance use disorder. And during our meeting so far at the Opioid Settlement Fund Advisory Committee, we've had police come and speak about the program they're involved in with the Bristol County Outreach Collaborative Program. And they have done research on the number of overdoses in the town of Westport, and since 2019, there were 112 reported overdoses in Westport, and 97 were non-fatal, but 15 were fatal. And I asked the officer, and how many of them had children at home when the overdose occurred, and the police officer told me that at least half. So those are kids that may have witnessed this, that are not getting any kind of support or might not be getting any kind of support. And I think it's really important for us to utilize some of these funds. And for those who don't know, currently we have about $370,000, but we're expected by 2038 to receive almost $1 million in funds. So I really want representation from the school department. It's in our charter that we need to have someone. But as we're moving forward and looking at organizing to distribute funds, I really feel it's important to have a member of the school department sitting at the table. And that's all I have to say. So I'm glad that you were able to hear me this morning.
Thank you very much, Don. And yes, I do agree that do need to get that taken care of. I think that the next select board meeting, I believe, is the 21st. And I think the procedure is that we would appoint a member, and then that would go to the select board.
Right.
So what I believe, if we don't currently have a meeting scheduled between now and then, but I think we could very easily schedule a special meeting for the purposes of getting that set before the next select board meeting. So thank you very much for reminding us of that need.
Yes, and we are, the next meeting is next week. We won't have that, or someone on the committee by then, but I'm hoping by August that we would have somebody at the table with us.
Excellent. I think that's. I see no reason why that can't happen. So
Okay.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
And
Go.
sorry, I was just going to say, Donna, I will. I know I've attended some in the past, so if I can, I will attend that as well as a non-member, just to be there and stay in the loop. So, in the absence of having an actual appointed member, if I can make it there, I certainly will.
Yes, well, I know you're a busy man, Evan. So, but I mean, we are moving forward. We have had a lot of speakers tell us, ways in which the funds could be utilized. But my heart is with the school department and helping the kids. I feel very strongly about that. But there's a lot of things I would like to do, but I cannot get done unless I have an inside man. That I have somebody that's in the school department, that's working and connecting and knows what the needs are and has a pulse on what's happening. So, but thank you, Evan, for saying that you will do that. But I know that you're a very busy man as well.
No, and I just wanted to, just a last point, just wanted to thank you for your advocacy on that. I know you've put the school, front and center on this since its inception. So I just wanted to thank you for that as well.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you very much, Don. I will keep you posted on getting that sent to the select board and making sure that we can get that taken care of as soon as possible. So
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Excellent. So at this time, we'll move on to the next item. So we're going to do our action agenda first. And this is, of course, a traditional closing out the end of year books. That's why we're all here at bright and early this day. So just to give our new committee members a brief overview, we basically do these transfers at the very end, just to again, closing out the books, moving things that need to be moved, and making sure that the encumbrances are taken care of, so the fiscal year 2025 can be closed out. So very quick, the first item is the fiscal year 2025 funds to be expended for salaries and goods and services. Within the packet, or the links are within the agenda here. The recommendation from our superintendent is to approve $1,853,874.28 as a total encumbrance for FY25 as enclosed. And reading from the letter here, just note all encumbrance salaries have already been earned prior to June 30th, 2025, and salary funds have been encumbered for teachers and support staff who elect to receive their previously earned fiscal year 2025 salary through the summer months. Encumbered expense funds represent goods or services which have been ordered and received prior to June 30th, but billing will not be processed either until July or August. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the fiscal year 2025 encumbrance in the amount of $1,853,874.28.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro,
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers,
Hi, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Pacheco,
Hi, Jason Pacheco.
and I, Christopher Thrasher. All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the second item on the agenda, which is to approve fiscal year 2025 line item transfers. I'm going to read all the transfers here at once, and we'll entertain a motion to approve all transfers here. A transfer of $79,648.49 from various line items in sped salaries to various line items in regular education salaries. A transfer of $101,672.51, various line items in sped salaries to various line items in sped expenses. A transfer of $63,907.73 from various line items in sped salaries to various line items in regular education expenses. Transfer of $20,627 from various line items in regular education transportation salaries to various line items in regular education expenses. A transfer of $30,326.67, which is $31,322.64 minus $995.97 surplus. From various line items in transportation regular education expenses to various line items in regular education expenses. A transfer of $77,222.97 from various line items in sped transportation expenses to various line items in regular education expenses for a total transfers of $373,405.37. I will entertain a motion to approve these transfers as written.
Move approval of the transfers.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro,
Evan Gendro, aye.
Ms. Sampers,
Caitlin Sampers, aye.
Mr. Pacheco,
Hi, Jason Pacheco.
and I, Christopher Thrasher. All right, moving right along. Next is to approve total expenditures for the fiscal year 2025. And the recommendation is to approve the total expenditure for fiscal year 2025 as $22,650,211.03, and to declare a $995.97 surplus from transportation, regular education expenses, unexpended funds for the fiscal year 2025 town meeting appropriation to be returned to the town of Westport General Fund. And I will entertain a motion to approve this expenditure as recommended.
I move approval of the total expenditure.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro,
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers,
Hi, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Pacheco,
Hi, Jason Pacheco.
and I, Christopher Thrasher. We will move along to the next item is to approve.
Mr. Chair, if I could, just on that item, I just wanted to note that, just again wanted to thank the town for working with us on that budget for FY25. Obviously, it's as shown in the expenditures. We really do need every penny to support the good work that our staff does and support our students. So just wanted to recognize that as part of that item.
Thank you, Mr. Gendro, and I certainly second the.
And our business staff, of course, too. Always appreciate their work in facilitating that budget.
Yes, indeed. None of this would happen if it weren't for both the partnership with the town and the magic from the business office. So thank you all very, very much for making sure everything's buttoned up this year. So the next item on the agenda is actually to approve the return from the unexpended encumbrances, which I believe we just. We do have one other item on the encumbrances. So this is a prior year encumbrance of $620.21 surplus from custodial and sub coverage and unexpended regular education expenses. And I'll entertain a motion to approve this recommendation.
Move approval to return the surplus.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro.
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers.
Aye, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Chico.
I, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. We'll now move to approve returning fiscal year 2024 unexpended encumbrances to the Town of Westport General Fund and prior year grant unexpended funds to the Town of Westport General Fund. Which would be, I apologize, we did just do the prior year encumbrance. Now we'll go to the prior year grants. Recommending that school committee vote to return surplus from the following grant accounts to the Town of Westport General Fund. ESSER, Chapter 3, fiscal year 2022 in the amount of 53 cents. Title 4, FY23 in the amount of 50 cents. Title 1, FY24 in the amount of 1 cent. Math Acceleration Academies, fiscal year 24 in the amount of 30 cents. Rural Aid, fiscal year 24 in the amount of 2 cents. And ASOST, summer fiscal year 25 for 84 cents.
I move approval to return the fiscal year 24 grant unexpended funds to the town.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro.
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers.
Aye, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Chico.
I, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. And we will now move to the bill warrant for June 27th, 2025, and June 30th, 2025. June 27th, 2025, in the amount of $277,522.70, and June 30th, 2025, in the amount of $535,243.21. Was there any questions on the bill warrant? All right, hearing none, we'll consider that bill warrant acknowledged, and we will now go to review and act in minutes, school committee minutes from Wednesday, June 18th, 2025, and Thursday, June 26th, 2025. Now, I will entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro.
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers.
Aye, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Chico.
I, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. All right, moving right along here. So next is to review and act on the appointment of Dr. Roy to the Board of Directors at South Coast Educational Collaborative. This is the first moment to welcome Dr. Roy. This is a heck of a meeting for the first one, but thank you so much. I hope all is well and you're settling in. So this is an appointment again to the directors, the South Coast Educational Collaborative, which I believe, please correct me someone if I'm wrong, but I believe this is just always the superintendent. So if there's any, unless there's any questions, I would entertain a motion to approve this this appointment.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote if there's no further discussion. Mr. Gendro.
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers.
Aye, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Chico.
I, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. And next is to review and act on appointment of Dr. Roy to the school building committee. This also was this was the seat technically held by the superintendent, Mr. Albin. I have not had a chance to actually to speak with you, Dr. Roy, on this, but I did assume that you wanted to be on that committee. Maybe
Yeah.
not wanted to, but
Yeah.
felt like anyway. Okay, excellent. All right, so I will entertain a motion to approve the appointment of Dr. Roy to the school building committee.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro,
Ivan Jodro.
Ms. Sampers,
I, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Pacheco,
I, Jason Pacheco.
and I, Christopher Thrasher. All right. Well, that wasn't too bad. We are through with the action agenda. We'll now proceed to the informational agenda, and I am very pleased to ask for the first superintendent report from Dr. Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a few updates. First, I'd like to begin with publicly thanking the many staff members who welcomed and supported both me and our new curriculum director, Ms. Holly Hargraves, with getting us up and running. Ms. Hargraves is online with us today, and we're welcoming her to the committee as well. It has been a very busy and productive 5 days. We've held listening sessions across almost all departments with a variety of personnel. In addition, Ms. Hargraves and I have met with each building principal for an extensive conversation about their work at the school level. Further updates, the bathroom renovation project at the West is in progress, and upon completion will begin at the MAC. The MAC air conditioning project has also begun. Both projects are on track with an expected completion date prior to the start of school. From HR, currently we have 10 open positions that staff are working hard to fill. These include 1 assistant principal and 1 custodian for the elementary school, 4 teaching assistants, 1 STEM teacher, 1 special education teacher, and 1 LPN at the middle high school, and a teacher of the visually impaired. On Wednesday, July 2nd, we received correspondence from Commissioner Martinez that the federal government is holding specific entitlement grants for review. While the good news is that Title I funding will remain intact, we are anticipating at the very least a delay of Title II Part A, supporting effective instruction, and Title IV Part A, student support and academic enrichment, which for us, for Westport, is approximately, if we go based on last year, $61,000. Those funds have historically covered the costs of professional development, training for staff, and social and emotional learning programming. We have met on it already and will continue to monitor the situation. On a more positive note, summer program for students continues with the out-of-school time program, middle and high summer school, and the extended school year program which began yesterday, and I was very pleased to get a glimpse of those students and teachers. And my last update right now is fall sports registration will start on July 15th. Tryouts will begin on August 18th, starting with middle school soccer. Thank you.
Excellent, and thank you again, Dr. Roy. Looking forward to getting all the activities in the summer going and preparing for the next school year. So, thank you, and again, welcome. And I also do want to take a moment to welcome Ms. Holly. I have not had a chance to meet with you yet, but I appreciate you attending this meeting, and I look forward to speaking with you soon. So, are there any questions from Dr. Roy at this time?
No, just wanted to say thank you for the update. Welcome again to both you and Holly. Looking forward to working with you both and appreciate all the work you put in so far in meeting with staff. And so just want to say thanks.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll move on to the next item on the informational agenda, which is the Mass Joint Conference, which is going to be held in Hyannis November 12th through the 14th. This is a conference that school committee members traditionally, some have chosen to attend. I did attend for a couple sessions last year. And Lori, do you have any other details about this is worth noting beyond what's on here, or
No, I don't. Just to say that in the past, school committee members have attended. Um, and so if you are interested in attending, please let me know. We do get a discount if I register you before September 5th. So that would be great if we could get, if you can align your schedule with attending, it would be awesome.
excellent. All right, thank you. So if you're interested in attending the conference, please reach out to either myself or Lori to get that taken care of. So, all right. So we're moving right along to the last item, discussion item, which is the request from the town clerk for voting. The using the Westport Middle High School as a centralized voting location. So, in case you're not aware, this is a plan that has been in the works by the town clerk for quite a while now to consolidate all of the 5 polling places in Westport to one central location. There has been a letter sent earlier this month that details the potential use days, I guess, for the election days. We have already built this into the calendar for the next year. I think that at this time there's a request from the town clerk to provide a statement of agreement for use of the middle high school for this purpose. Although it is not on the agenda as an action item, I would certainly be willing to entertain a motion to that end. But first, I just wanted to ask if anyone has any particular questions.
I actually do, Chris.
Yes, please go right ahead.
Why the middle high school that's occupied by students and not the old high school that's not occupied during daytime hours by students?
So, the easiest answer I have for that is that based on my discussions with the town clerk, there was, when this process first began, there was a question of whether the old high school was actually going to be available. I think that there has been some movement indicating that it would at some point in time become available, but at the moment, I think that was the reasoning with going towards the middle high school. I will note that the plan would be to have election days not be instruction days.
Of course. I'm just thinking like now we're adding days onto the end of the calendar because we have an empty building that could be used for voting that doesn't have students occupying it during the day. It essentially sits empty, minus admin.
So I think that it is going to be worth revisiting, perhaps when more, I guess when there's more certainty surrounding the old high school. I can certainly mention there's some work in progress there that may see a more permanent presence for that building going forward. But I know that the town clerk was operating under the assumption, or not the assumption, but operating, I guess, with the possibility that building would not be available. So that's why.
And knowing that this affects a school day for the students in the middle high school, what happens with the rest of like the elementary and the Macumber that would not be being used? Would they have school?
I think
No.
we currently do that with, I think the MAC is a polling place as well.
Yeah, and they were
currently.
in the building
Yeah.
with the students this year. So we had voters in the building with the children.
Yeah, my understanding when we voted on the calendar, I think was to have those days as no school
For
the
everyone.
district. Yeah,
For the entire district, yeah.
right.
So
You
that
understand my concerns, right? Like we had a very long school year this year because of a long vacation, days missing, like that sort of thing. So I'm trying to avoid the same complaints that we had last year. And if it's an opportunity to avoid having to use a school day for something like this, where we have to make, add another day on the end of the calendar, I just think it makes sense to use the building that's empty.
I think the issue we may run into with the old building, and obviously the elections are under the town clerk's purview, but the issue with the old building is, I think, perhaps from her perspective, is that whether something is done with the building or not, I think that there's going to be a period where it can't be used, because either there's going to be a construction or renovation project and it's out, or the building will sit, and at some point the town will have to get rid of the building in some fashion. So that I think that's where it's currently at, and some of the uncertainty surrounding it. That was my part of my understanding of it.
And I will also mention, to your point, I was not a fan of elections taking place on a school day in the Macumber, and so no matter what,
Right.
No matter what it's going to be, I think it's necessary that there be no school on election days, because the Macumber, even as it stands right now, the Macumber is a polling place. So that's that I think, again, this is not necessarily in our purview as far as setting the polling place is the town clerk, but given the current, I wouldn't say uncertainty, but given the current status of the old high school building, this seems to me as the best option at this moment. Is it going to be the best option in a few years? Maybe not, but at the moment, I think this makes sense. Mr. Chico, I apologize. I see your hand up. Please go right ahead.
I just wanted to echo what Caitlin said. And if damage has been done and it's too late at this point, then I would say it kind of is what it is. But at the same time, I do think it would be smarter and a better option if we did use the old high school, if it became available. Again, it is available. I get the reasoning or whatever, but at the same time, we know that we have kids in it for programs throughout the school year,
Throughout the day, regardless. Yeah.
right? To say that we weren't sure, or whatever the reasoning is, again, I hate to see our kids in our district kind of shut down from school for elections, when we have a place that we still could centrally locate, and move all of the polling places to, basically at our disposal.
And I have to add to that and ask, obviously this had to have come to the school committee at some point to make adjustments to the calendar. I wasn't on the committee yet when that happened, but how does this process work? Clearly there had to have been a conversation from the town clerk in regards to the calendar to make sure that we had this day off, but it sounds like the committee members weren't aware of that.
The conversation had I think been going on for quite a while, and then the clerk had reached out a few times, and when we had discussed this with the committee, there seemed to be no objection at the time when it was brought up, I think, at a couple different meetings of the school committee. It's kind of been an ongoing issue for a while.
Yeah, I would have objected if I was on the committee then.
They use so those days are it's not just like a complete day off. They're used as professional development, which they need to have anyway. So I think it's kind of just a shift in the calendar, because they're using those as PD, right?
For students with time in school, it counts for the teacher's time in school, but it doesn't count for the student in school.
Yeah, I don't know if we're necessarily adding any days. I think we're just moving around where the PD days are.
That was my understanding at least with the next calendar year, or the next academic calendar. And this has been these discussions have been going on. When I say discussions, I mean the plan by the town clerk. This has been in the works since 2023. This predates my time on the committee as well. And the switching just I'm trying to go back to when we switched the calendar coming up, and I'm pretty sure that it was exactly as Mr. Ginger described. We just shifted a professional day around to accommodate the April town election. So I tell you what. So this has not been noticed as an action item. I would
Is there was there any is there a timeline from the clerk on when she would need a
the clerk would. So she has indicated that she's trying to get this taken care of as soon as possible, because she would need to send. There would need to be an access. Basically, a site survey would need to be completed by the building inspector. That's easy enough. But the notifications would have to go out for the January annual census. There is a requirement, of course, that all the voters be made aware through the mail of the polling place change. So there is a need certainly to act at some point in time in the near future, but I would be happy to table this for now, or table this for this meeting. I'll go back to the clerk, discuss, see if it's possible to look at the alternative of the old high school. But again, I will say that I'm concerned, because no matter what happens with the old high school, it will either be it will either continue to be unknown as to the availability of the building going forward, or there would potentially be a period where the building would be unusable because of work being done. So one way or the other, I'm not sure that is going to be an option for the immediate future. I do think that if it does end up being useful long term, that's another discussion. But for the immediate elections coming up in 2026, at this time we have already set the academic calendar to accommodate for the April election. So that's kind of where we are right now. But again, I'd be happy to table this matter for the moment. Go back to the town clerk and report back to the committee at the next meeting.
I'm comfortable with the clerk's recommendation to use the building, given that we've adjusted the calendar and shifted a PD day. I'm fine with, if you want to go back and talk more, I think that's fine. And bring any concerns of the committee. But I would be, based on the information that I have, I would be in favor.
And like I said, it's already set in kind of, as far as I'm concerned, it's set in stone. We have our school calendar set in stone for this upcoming year, so that's fine. But I would like to look into, that option, for future years before we lock in, what looks to be a plan for the next 4 years or so here in this letter. Again, looking 2028 there with 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 elections in a, I know it's a calendar year over the span of those 2 school years, but just to keep our options open, I think it would be smart to look into that.
So let me ask you this: I think that it's going to be necessary, based on the requirements of notice going to voters in the yearly census. I think a letter of agreement would be appropriate for the 25-26 academic year and the 26-27 academic year. That way, that way we're not locked in, but at the same time, that gives the opportunity to potentially change the polling place again for 2028. But I think it would be very difficult for the clerk's office to change something for any of the elections in 2026, or excuse me, the fall elections in 2026, and then the April election in 2027. So, if it's agreeable to the committee, I would entertain a motion to do a statement of agreement for or through the 2026-2027 academic calendar year. So that takes us through spring of 2027. And by then, I think there is definitely, by then I would anticipate having some more certainty as to the availability of the old high school going forward.
I'm sorry, what was the specific recommendation motion you were recommending?
The specific motion I'm recommending is to have a letter of agreement sent to the town clerk that that agrees to use the middle high school for the 2026 and 2027 election dates, which would take us through the academic years 2026-27. So through spring of 2027.
Is that what I'm sorry, I don't have the letter from the clerk in front of me. Is that what the clerk was recommending in terms of an agreement date? Was she asking for a specific time period that to agree to?
The clerk has given the election dates through 2029.
Okay.
But I do think it would be appropriate to.
I mean, I'm also fine with. I'm not opposed to tabling as well if it doesn't have to be acted on this meeting, and talking to the clerk would address the concerns of members. I'm fine with that as well.
I think this time I will table and take this to the clerk. But I would anticipate making a recommendation that we have an agreement through the 2027 school year, spring 2027. So, but I think for now we'll table it. I'll talk to Chris and see what the thinking is. So. Okay, so with that item being done, I believe we actually have nothing else on our informational agenda. Routine matters, correspondence, and notices. I have none. Topics the chair could not reasonably anticipate. I have none of those either. So, if there's nothing further from the committee at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Gendro.
Ivan Gendro.
Ms. Sampers.
Hi, Caitlin Sampers.
Mr. Pacheco.
Hi, Jason Pacheco.
And I, Christopher Thrasher. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful day.